This is a disaster for the Eagles as we just received terrible injury news about the rookie defensive playmaker, and the Eagles defense has developed a big hole that is sure to play a factor this Friday against the Chicago Bears. We'll break all of this down on another edition of Eagles Digest. What's going on, guys? Alex Brooks here with Jack Kieley for another daily episode of Eagles Digest, as we just received some breaking news in regards to this Eagles defense, and it is something that is very, very devastating when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles and their Super Bowl aspirations. But before we get into this video, we're currently at 1,061 subscribers on this channel. So if you're tuning into this video and you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this big breaking news that just broke for the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is in regards to Andrew Makuba, as Ian Rappaport had this to say about Andrew Makuba's Eagles safety. Andrew Makuba, their promising second-round rookie, will undergo surgery to repair a fractured ankle suffered in Sunday's game, per me and Mike Garafolo. It will be determined during surgery whether or not there is potential for him to return this season. And Jack, this is something that it was very unexpected. We obviously knew that he walked out yesterday in a walking boot, so it didn't really seem promising that he would be out there. But knowing that he has a fractured ankle and he's undergoing surgery, that just seems like he is going to be out for the season. Doesn't seem like if he even does return, it's probably just going to be during the playoffs. But that remains to be seen right now.
Yeah, no, really sad to see Andrew Makuba go down yesterday in Dallas. That was tough to watch. Hope, of course, that he has a speedy recovery and that he comes out of this on the positive side on the other end. But yeah, losing Andrew Makuba is going to be a really, really big depletion to this backfield. I know we've been having so many problems already with the backfield this year, and their inconsistencies with the cornerback 2 spot, whether it was Adoree Jackson or whether it was Keely Ringo, and that's why Howie Roseman went ahead and acquired corners like Michael Carter from the New York Jets. And the safeties haven't overall been amazing this year, but Andrew Makuba has, I think, been really good for what you expect from a rookie so far this season. I think he's been really solid in coverage. He's been a solid run defender as well. He's also made some game-winning plays, whether that was an interception against the Kansas City Chiefs that ultimately won the Philadelphia Eagles that game, and that was a big play by him. He's got great hands. He's pretty sticky in coverage. He seems to be pretty good around zone. I guess the one thing that was a big thing for him this year was that he was missing on his tackles. Wasn't being able to get guys on the ground. But those were rookie mistakes. He's coming into the league. He's a new player, but of course it's going to be really hard to see him go down and not playing alongside Reed Blankenship.
Yeah, this is going to be very detrimental to this Eagles team because we already saw that Reed was going out of the game with an injury as well. So both safeties, Makuba seems like he has the more serious injury at this point, but both safeties are taking hits right now for the Philadelphia Eagles. And when we're looking at this depth in the secondary, obviously the corners, Adoree Jackson goes down with possibly a concussion. We'll hear a little bit more about that during this week. So we're already down like 3 defensive playmakers in this secondary, and now both safeties are really taking a hit. So Sidney Brown is going to be probably the starting safety when it comes to Friday's matchup against the Chicago Bears. But kind of looking more into Makuba and what he was able to do this season, just looking at his PFF grade. He had 2 interceptions on the season, was a solid contributor to this Eagles defense. You mentioned it. He didn't have a lot of good snaps or a lot of good tackles, but he was able to really do well at the start of the season. When you look at his tackling, it actually was on PFF really good against Tampa Bay and against Denver, having one of his best games. But yeah, it's been a little inconsistent when looking at his coverage grade. He definitely was struggling in coverage, especially against Detroit and Dallas. So something with Andrew Makuba right now, it's a big piece that you're missing. The Eagles traded away C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and now he's going to be coming back to Philadelphia this Friday when he signed with the Chicago Bears. So that's going to be interesting to know that the Eagles are down their defensive playmaker that just replaced C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and now he's going to come back for a little bit of revenge on Friday.
Yeah, no, I know CJ Gardner Johnson is going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. We know the kind of history he's had with the Philadelphia Eagles and their fans. But of course, he was there for the two Super Bowls that we went through, and he was a big contributor to last year's Super Bowl win. So I know that's going to be a fun matchup going into Friday against Chicago. But yeah, overall, Andrew Makuba, definitely a tough loss. It's going to be really, really hard to miss him throughout the rest of the season. Hopefully, we will have him back by the playoffs. I'm not particularly confident in Sidney Brown coming back in the safety position. He really hasn't been an excellent player since he's been drafted for the Philadelphia Eagles. He hasn't even really played that much this season, to be honest. He's only played on special teams, and even last year or the year before, I believe, when he was one of the, I wouldn't say starting safety, but like rotational safeties between Reed Blankenship and CJ Gardner Johnson. He also wasn't the most excellent player in that right as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens and what they do with the safeties. Maybe they'll end up converting one of the cornerbacks to the safety position, whether you think that's Cooper DeJean, whether you think that's maybe Michael Carter, Jacorian Bennett, who is still, I believe, injured as of right now. I'm not too sure, but I think he is still nursing his injury right now. Or maybe Jair Alexander, who is, I know, away from the team right now, but he is somebody that could, make his way to the backfield in that safety spot and, maybe really thrive with the position change. But, we won't know until he comes back. And yeah, we won't really know anything until we kind of head into this game in Chicago and kind of see how exactly the secondary works it out in the defense in the backfield.
Yeah, and this is something that is going to be a big loss for the Philadelphia Eagles outright right now. I mean, they're not they're dealing with a lot of injuries on the offensive side of the ball. We obviously know Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens coming back from, his injury. He's been in and out of the lineup. So you definitely have some injuries now on the defensive side of the ball, especially in the secondary that has, had some good games in the past, but has some questionable games during this season. When we're looking at Sidney Brown, he hasn't really had the opportunity to start a lot of the season, as you were mentioning, Jack. But, when he was able to go against the Rams, he didn't have the best tackling. I feel like someone who is, he plays with his hair on fire. He's really good when he is on special teams, especially when he returned that blocked punt for a touchdown against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that really helped them win that game. But when you're looking at him as a starter, it's something that you really don't want to look at when you're looking at a starting safety. He just needs to really develop his game a little bit more, and that's something that he's going to have to do. It's a next man up mentality for Sidney Brown at this point, and it's going to be interesting to look for with this Philadelphia Eagles team. But I think another guy that the Eagles should go after moving forward into this stretch run for the Philadelphia Eagles, needing to bounce back against Chicago Bears, is a guy like Justin Simmons. As this was reported before the season by Brian Baldinger, saying he wants to come to Philadelphia. NFL Media's Brian Baldinger said of Simmons this week, referring to the beginning of the offseason, saying he wants to be there. Just find him a house in South Jersey. He is going to be there. And I think that's something with Justin Simmons and this Philadelphia Eagles team. It's now this is the opportunity to sign him, Jack. I think this is the opportunity to bring him into this building.
Definitely.
You probably won't have him for the Friday game because it's just a short week, but bring him in here, him learning the playbook, I think could be a perfect opportunity for the Philadelphia Eagles.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think bringing Justin Simmons in is not going to hurt by any right. I think if you bring him in, at the bare minimum, he's going to bring a veteran leadership to the locker room. He's going to bring a mentality that some of the younger players don't really have right now. And, Justin Simmons is a multiple-time All-Pro and Pro Bowler from his time in Denver. He was one of the best safeties in the league at one point. He didn't have his best season last year in Atlanta by any right. His prime was in Denver, but this guy is an excellent, he's an excellent run defender in his prime. He was an excellent coverage player in his prime. He had great hands. He had very active hands in pass coverage and deflecting balls. But yeah, overall, I just think Justin Simmons could really fit this team, and it really just wouldn't hurt giving him the signing. And again, at worst, he is a great guy for chemistry, and at best, he's possibly the starting safety if after even Reed and Andrew Makuba come back from their injuries. But I mean, what I'm really grateful for right now is that this Eagles pass rush has been so dominant this year, and that's really going to help out this secondary if the quarterbacks aren't going to have much time to throw the ball. So even with Andrew Makuba being out, and Reed Blankenship also kind of nursing his injury. I'm just overall really grateful that this pass rusher is going to be able to put pressure on these next few opponents until our defensive backs get healthy.
Yeah, you definitely have the advantage there with the pass rushes you were mentioning, Jack. You definitely have the ability with the linebackers. Nakobe Dean's playing out of his mind. He's playing into a big contract for next year, whether it be with the Eagles or another team. You obviously have Zach Bond being, one of the best linebackers in football. But looking a little bit on Justin Simmons and what he can provide for the Philadelphia Eagles team, looking at his PFF grade, he was a really good starter for the Atlanta Falcons. I think when you're looking at what he was able to do at the beginning of the season, towards the middle of the season, is that he had great coverage grades week 1 all the way to week 5. But once it got after week 5, it was like he had a great game in coverage, he had a terrible game in coverage. Great game, terrible game. So when you're looking at it, it's a little inconsistent of what you really want to expect. But, that might be one of the reasons why he's not signed at this point. But when you're looking at the tackling, he's able to tackle, and he's definitely has the advantage over Sidney Brown in that position. So if you're able to get a guy like Justin Simmons to bring him in here and just have the ability to get in and just make an instant impact. And what you were mentioning, Jack, I think is perfect to bring up, is that, if he doesn't have the instant impact that Eagles fans really want and this Eagles organization really wants, then you can just keep him as a veteran guy. He's 32 years old. He's trying to get in this league. He does have connections with Vic Fangio back in Denver. So if you're trying to run that route again with, it worked with Jalen Phillips, why not throw it at Justin Simmons as a 1-year deal? Just try to prove it. Try to prove that you can still play. Definitely think it could be a big advantage for the Eagles moving forward.
No, absolutely. I think that that connection obviously worked with Jalen Phillips and Vic Fangio from their time back when they were playing in Miami together. And I definitely think that bringing in someone like Justin Simmons, who's going to bring that leadership into the locker room as a former All-Pro and Pro Bowler, and of course going and connecting back with Vic Fangio. I mean, those are the connections that you're going to want on your team, especially on the defensive side with the injuries we're kind of dealing with right now. But yeah, overall, I think Justin Simmons is kind of just it'd be a waste to not sign him right now. He's just off doing whatever. He's inactive. He's a free agent right now. And overall, I think that there is just absolutely no harm in signing him, giving him a call, seeing what he likes, and seeing if he is open to the opportunity of joining the Philadelphia Eagles for the rest of the regular season. Even if he's not playing that much, you could put him on special teams. But I definitely don't think it would hurt to have this guy on the Philadelphia Eagles defense.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind playing on the defending Super Bowl champion defense that's looking really, really good. Did lose against the Dallas Cowboys, didn't play their best game, but overall have been a solid unit in 2025. But that's going to do it for another edition of Eagles Digest. Wanted to raise the question to you guys in regards to Justin Simmons. Do you think the Eagles should sign Justin Simmons? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know your thoughts on Justin Simmons and this injury by Andrew Makuba. Is it going to be something that is going to derail the Eagles defense, or do you think that the Eagles are able to pick up another guy or go with Sidney Brown? Whatever your thoughts are, comment them down below. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We're going to have more coverage here surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles, and as always, go Birds.